Joining us right now is our ABC News law enforcement contributor, retired senior Secret Service agent in Philadelphia, Don Mihalek. Don, good to have you back on the program again. We got who the authorities believe is the guy that did the shooting. Any evidence that we've seen so far certainly would support that theory anyway. All of this came together, I think, largely because the guy was flirting with somebody and took his mask off. Had he not been hitting on the girl at the hostel, would we even know what he looked like?
Well, from what we know, law enforcement pulled video from all over the place in order to piece together this guy's picture. They had an image at the scene. They had images from the hostel. So they used some video enhancements in order to get a clearer picture of him, which they were able to put out on social media networks across the news, which led to the individual in the McDonald's in Altoona who actually made the positive ID of the individual and called the Altoona police who detained him. So I think it's a tribute to everybody that saw something and said something that we were able to catch this guy.
So this becomes a big national story. We're all watching, obviously, a rich guy, head of the health insurance industry, a divisive character is gunned down in cold blood in the street, and the guy gets away with it. When you put a picture like that up on the TV screen, and especially because for a lot of people they think he's an attractive young man, that seems to play into the narrative somehow, or it plays into, I guess, sympathies people might have for the guy. Does it almost sort of gin up support for an alleged killer?
Well, so in assassinations in the past, there's always a sector that wants to support the assassin, or Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, some to name him, and then Hinckley with Reagan. I mean, A lot of these assassins end up with their own fan bases for different reasons. But in reality, it's disgusting if you think about it, because you have an individual that intentionally took the life of an otherwise innocent individual in cold blood for really no reason, and you have these people out there that, for whatever reason, decide that that's their cause to celeb. That's somebody they want to support for, I don't know what reasons, but throughout history, almost every assassin ends up with a fan base. I think there's also an intrigue there, because an assassination itself has a certain intrigue value to it. But at the end of the day, they committed a cold blood act of murder in the middle of Manhattan in the daytime, and had this individual missed his target, he could have killed any citizen walking down the street in Manhattan at that time.
Wholeheartedly agree with you, Don. Is it possible that the support comes because some people viewed the victim in this case as having those same attributes as what you said, an individual who kills people without good reason? They may have seen the CEO as responsible for death of loved ones or job losses or things of that nature.
It would be ignorant of us not to acknowledge that there's Americans across the country that struggle with health insurance, health care, have had battles with health insurance and health care, which, of course, has contributed to this, sympathetic feeling towards the assassin versus the CEO. But again, take that away from it, separate it out. You had somebody that killed somebody in cold blood in a street, and had he missed, it could have been a grandmother, somebody's father, a kid, or somebody who could have been end up at the end of the assassin's bullet.
ABC News law enforcement contributor and retired senior Secret Service agent Don Mihalek with us. Don, last one real quick. How concerned are you about copycats here?
There's always a concern about copycats after a crime like this, because it gets a lot of publicity and it gets a lot of notoriety. So I think insurance companies around the country should be stepping up their game to make sure their people and their executives are protected. But it goes to the original question of, how is the CEO of a major corporation walking the streets anywhere without some level of protection? Again, something every insurance company and healthcare company should be looking at these days, or any company with high-profile CEOs.
That's Don Mihalek from ABC News Radio. Don, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe, and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.